All right, let's get into it. Today, we're basically flies on the wall in a room full of France's top CEOs, watching the country's biggest political rivals go head to head. And they're all wrestling with one massive question. Is France's future one of confidence? Or is it about to descend into total chaos? Believe me, this was way more than just a debate. It was a high-stakes battle for the very soul of the French economy.
Yeah, and you know it's serious when the moderator herself, Apolline de Malherbe, calls it a real presidential debate before its time. She knew exactly what was going on here. This wasn't just some panel discussion. No, this was a sneak peek, a preview of the fight for France's future.
So, here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. We'll look at 5 key areas where they really clashed. First, that big question of confidence versus chaos. Then we'll get into the 2 completely different economic visions they're pushing. After that, the huge debate over ecology. Is it a burden or a golden opportunity? Then we'll touch on the future of work itself in France. And finally, we'll ask, is there any hope for a shared path forward after all this?
All right, first up, France, confidence, or chaos? You know, the entire debate was really anchored by this one single urgent question. It's a question that honestly gets right to the heart of a nation that's feeling pretty on edge right now. And this was the ultimatum, right? A government minister basically laid it on the table. You can have confidence or you can have chaos. It was this stark choice, a direct challenge to every single leader in that room. They had to pick a side. Are you with us for stability, or are you ready to risk it all for a total shakeup?
And when we talk about risk, the stakes are just, well, they're astronomical. Look at this number, 3,000 billion euros. That's 3 trillion. That's France's national debt. And get this, it's ballooned by a full trillion euros in just the last few years. So you can see how that massive number puts incredible pressure on whatever path they choose.
Okay, so with that massive debt hanging over everything, it's no surprise that the real heart of the conflict came down to 2 completely different, competing ideals for how to actually fix the French economy. And it's a classic economic showdown, really. On one side, you've got what they call the supply-side approach. Think of Prime Minister Gabriel Attal in the centrists. Their argument is pretty simple. Let's unleash the economy, cut taxes, slash regulations for businesses, and let them grow. But then, on the complete other side of the ring, you have the demand-siders, folks like the far left's Manuel Bompard. Their philosophy? Totally different. They say, no, the real way to fix this is from the bottom up. Put more money into people's pockets, raise wages, and use public funds to invest in kickstart growth. And this quote from the center-right leader Bruno Retailleau, man, it just perfectly sums up that supply-side frustration. He says, we can no longer live in a socialist system. All that moves, we tax it. What still moves, we regulate it. And what doesn't move at all, we subsidize it. He's painting this picture of a government that's just become a lead weight on the economy, strangling any dynamism with red tape and taxes. But you knew there was a but coming. The other side, represented here by Manuel Bompard, fires right back. He argues that the very supply-side policies they've been using for years, that's the problem. He says that approach is exactly what's leading us into a wall today, causing both the economic slowdown and the growing inequality. So to break out of this, the Communist Party leader, Fabien Roussel, came in with a pretty radical proposal. He's talking about a massive 500 billion euro public investment plan spread out over 5 years. The idea is to go on the offensive, to really kickstart French industry and compete with economic giants like the US and Germany. Now, this deep ideological split, it didn't just stop with dollars and cents, or euros, I should say. It got just as heated, just as divided when the conversation pivoted to the environment and France's green transition. And again, it really boiled down to 2 opposing viewpoints. Is a European Green Deal this giant, crippling mountain of norms that's just holding back business? Or is it actually the single biggest opportunity for France? A chance to create, almost 1 million new jobs, and, crucially, gain some strategic independence from countries like China. And this is where the leader of the Greens, Marine Tondelier, she really made her stand. It was a passionate plea. She said, I stop having complexes when the question is whether the planet will still be habitable in 30 years. What you are doing makes no sense. For her, ignoring ecology isn't just a political mistake. It's a catastrophic economic failure waiting to happen.
So we've gone from the big picture economy to ecology, And naturally, the discussion then zoomed in on the very fabric of French society, its social model, and the future of work itself. And wow, the proposed solutions were just all over the place. I mean, on the left, you had this big push to automatically tie all salaries to inflation just to make sure people's paychecks don't get eaten away. Then you have the right pushing to reform unemployment benefits to, in their view, incentivize people to get back to work. And there were even arguments for something as significant as increasing immigration to fill what's expected to be a massive labor shortage in the coming decades. A real mix of ideas. Okay, so after hours of this back and forth, of all this clashing, the final moments of the debate zeroed in on what might be the most critical question of all. With these divisions running so deep, is any kind of real dialogue even possible anymore? And these final statements, they just threw the whole conflict into stark relief. You've got people like Prime Minister Attal making a plea for consensus, for everyone to just talk and get through the storm together. But then you have figures on the extremes, like the far-right's Jordan Bardella, who basically says, nope, the whole system is broken. We're not going to build the future with the people who failed us in the past. It's this huge gap between those who want to fix the system and those who want to tear it down and start over. So in the end, this whole debate just laid bare the massive fractures running through French society. And it leaves us right back where we started, with that one big, lingering question. Can these totally opposing visions find any common ground to actually govern? Or is this choice between confidence and chaos just a preview of an even bigger confrontation that's still to come?